I had coffee with my daughter this afternoon. We meet periodically, and usually she meets with me when she's ready for another kick in the butt. That's pretty much why people meet with me. It's for another kick in the butt. So anyway, she was sharing this predicament she's found herself in. She's successfully managed her life. She has mastered her life. She's owns a house. Both of that, her and her husband, work for the government. She's got her finances managed. She's very competent. She's quite capable of doing anything she wants in life, and she does tolerate us human beings quite well. Just to give you an idea of the attitude. So I'm kind of like one of those people that she actually listens to. And today I was talking to her about the nature of the fact that what has overtaken her in recent years has been the part of her that is based on fear. That her entire life, her future, her house, her financial security, her wanting to pay off her student loans, her 2 dogs, are all actually based on fear. Even though these are seemingly wonderful things, where they come from is to secure herself in the future. And she was suffocating. She was before in charge of the state of Nevada Notary Republic, and she took a much more smaller position. And there was a part of her that liked the routine and didn't have to be in responsibility, and now she was discovering how it was trapping her into a way of being that was not allowing her to come into existence. And I said, well, you know, Sonia, you're in the teeter-totter of life. The part of you that wants to control life, to be in charge, to have it her way, is now at the peak. And there's another part of you that wants to experience life directly, without control, to be the unexpected, the immediacy, the challenge, the risk, to actually feel fear rather than design a life so you don't have to feel fear. I told her, if you keep organizing a life based on fear, you're basically creating strategies to avoid experiencing fear. That takes energy. You have to constantly then keep these strategies going. And what will eventually happen is you'll get into these small compulsive patterns of worry and anxiety, because the suppressed fear is trying to come up. The more you try to control it, the more it wants to show itself. So from there, I could see that all of us, all of mankind, is living life to avoid experiencing fear, uncertainty, anxiety, being overwhelmed, not being good enough, being in a situation where you could lose or be diminished. And all those actions that we take empower the structure of fear we're suppressing. And this takes energy. After a while, you become exhausted in this process. And you bury the possibility that life actually is in that continuous, unconscious, repetitive behavior, in your little routines and habits and beliefs and petty complaints and dissatisfactions and judgments and evaluations are just a reflection of a diminished life, an unlived life. You see, life has a purpose. The purpose is to be. And to be is scary shit. To be is not to have an expectation or a rule or have it show up a certain way. To be is to come into existence as it is. That's actually what the Supreme Being wants. It doesn't want a nice house in the suburban Carson City and its pets and its, simple job and its, nice savings account and new car and so on the rest. It wants to be. It wants to exist. It wants to live. It's curious. The more civilized we become, the less capable we are of living, of coming into existence. And what is the experience of coming into existence? Aliveness. The sense of being in the immediacy of whatever is arising. Now, from the basis of fear, this can look like chaos. This could look like lots of bad things could happen. This could look like, no way am I going to risk myself to be that naked, that exposed, that uncertain, that unstable. And yet that's where life lies. It lies on the edge of the boundary of our willingness to let life be. So she got it. She said, yeah, I want a battle. I want a conquest. She's a CrossFit master. If you look at her, she's just like this beautiful, strong, capable woman. And yet she's put herself into this cage of her own making. And I just thought, I got to tell other people about this. I got to let you know that this is why we suffer. This is why we are in all these compensating, neurotic, miserable adaptions in existence, and why we can't be in a loving, true, authentic relationship. It's because we're stuck into this collective error that's trying to control the future. So we can't even be in the now, because it's all a strategy for avoiding whatever we imagine we're afraid of, or even forgot that we're even imagining we're afraid of, but just operating on this unexpressed, unexperienced, unacknowledged habit of avoiding fear. Because fear, by the way, if you look at the nature of the experience of fear, you're alive. In the moment of being afraid, you have actually come into existence. And what is that? That's opportunity to be different than you were the moment before. But to our ego, to our identity, to our mind, to the organization of our nervous system, it looks like I could die. Certainly be diminished, lose, do it badly, get insulted, get thrown out, rejected, criticized, and on and on and on, whatever it is that we imagine that could happen. It's not that if we were conscious that this was going on, well, that would be useful, but we're not. And it's a heat and energy sink. It's sucking the juice out of our ability to actually be because of this unexpressed, unexperienced fear. So if we recontextualize what fear is, it's unexperienced life. All those things we're suppressing, denying, avoiding, resisting, trying to control, is we are killing the opportunity of life for ourselves. This is important shit. You really should know this. You really should kind of try to find what I'm saying tonight in your own experience. Because there's something about the thrill of fear that some people know how to be in the thrill of the edge of existence, where life is showing up in a way that you can't control. somebody's raging at you, or you just had a car accident, or, your dog died in my daughter's case. And now she got a dog that's going to live long enough, so she doesn't have to experience this for a while. Yet she had all this juicy grief and sorrow and waking up that occurred when her dog died. Yet all she wants to do is stop that from ever happening again. My God, hope I never experience grief again. Don't you ever leave me. Don't you ever change. Stay just like you are, so I can know that I don't have to experience the possibility of loss or grief or death. Because what is existence without non-existence? It's eternal. And how boring can an eternal be? That's why we took birth, so existence could appear to end. So we could kind of get jazzed about being in existence. As the Supreme Being is playing this game because it wants to experience existence, and it can't do it as the eternal unchanging. So this is very relevant shit. I was brought up with my daughter, our usual favorite conversation is Donald Trump. But you know what the nature of it is, that Donald Trump is not hiding anything. He's not in a looking good strategy. He's not afraid to be what he is. He doesn't know what he is, but he's not afraid of being what he is. You can be what you are and not know to be afraid. And that's also something to be said. But he's playing with dynamite and just thinking it's another day, another dollar. But what does this do? It's woken up our entire country. It's stirring the pot because this guy is real, for good or for bad. He is an act of chaos, an act of destroying the fear-based structures which have cognified and buried the opportunity of the American life. You know, back when in the Wild West, right? What was it? You didn't know when the Indians were going to show up. You took your wagons across the deserts and mountains and meadows and fields, and you picked a little spot, and you built your cabin, and you spent years, and you got your kids, and you got your farm, and they could show up any one day. There could be 3 of them, there could be 100 of them. You could die. That was more real than what we're living. And no wonder we miss it. This is, in the past, civilization, because it's a fear-based structure trying to control life in the future, eventually suffocates the opportunity of existence, which is a Dharma, contrary to the original intent, contrary to the purpose of life, which is to expand, to discover, to bring forward possibilities out of the potentiality so that they could manifest, to experiment, to explore. So when civilization gets too cognified, the solution for mankind has been war. Let's have a war. Because all the suppressed fear, all the suppressed, controlled parts of life that we don't want to be with, finally, after enough time, erupt. The balance between the chaos and the order will shift. And without war, man won't innovate. Mankind will not come up with new ways of surviving or succeeding. It will stay in its placid adaptation with its, wherever it was, and it's probably agrarian life in the tribe. It'll consider that happiness. But in this dimension, it's just a slow death. Which, by the way, we're all living anyway. the debris of living kills you anyway. We don't need fear to kill us. Just the debris of living and the life of pleasure and enjoyment and safety and comfort and security buries us. And eventually we have to die, because that's the only way out of the tomb we buried ourselves in. So we put the body in the tomb and we get out. This is how it is. To realize this is just a fundamental fabric structure. So in the past, war was the opportunity for mankind to wake up, to mobilize itself, and to develop new capacities of collaborating in order to survive, right? The war. Somebody had to make a lot of swords and train a lot of soldiers and gather a lot of horses and, teach people. And so the whole organization of civilization actually came during the periods of chaos. And that allowed for a new order. And it's not that that is wrong or right, but it's just the way it works. So what's so great about where we are now is we've buried ourselves in the avoidance of fear strategies through regulations, through social conditioning, through cultural indoctrination, and now we're ready for war. But there's two things that are happening: climate change and Donald Trump. So we get a Donald Trump, and we get a piece of the chaos that war would have provided. And what is it doing? It's awakening all those who were in complacency, were in unexamined assumptions, were in expectations of how life should be and how others should be. And don't talk to me about something that might offend my sense of value or worth or my idea. So let's make laws about it. So you can't even talk to each other if you're a man or a woman at the job. There is no permission. There's this closing down of the spontaneity of human relationship and existence. You could get sued. You could bring down a whole organization. We've buried ourselves and we've taken it for normal. We bury ourselves in our own little piece, our own little life, and we bury ourselves in our collective culture. Well, it's good to talk about it because, I'm just pointing to the predicament. I'm pointing to what it is we're waking up from. And part of waking up from is to pay attention to our actions, our thoughts, our beliefs, our point of view, our position that's perpetuating this unexperienced, this quality of being that closes down life, the opportunity of existence, this fear-based structure. Now, it's not just fear. The other aspect of fear is wanting, craving, desire. So that's actually a better version, because at least that can get you into immediate trouble. The other version, it'll just bury the fear, bury the fear, bury the fear, bury the fear. I mean, human beings are motivated by unexperienced fear. The organization of your entire life, all your adaptions, what you value, even what you desire, is based on this habit of suppressing an unwanted experience. Trying to control the future so we can survive. And we didn't do this, God did this. I'm going to blame anybody. Blame the guy, the architect. Yeah, I'm a little kind of close to that position. I should be careful. They could all come and put me on a cross. Kill the messenger. Then you don't have to listen to the message. Or you can create another distracting drama. We'll call it religion. So then we can avoid ever having to do that again. It's the paradox. It's how the human mind works. It makes the enemy the friend and the friend the enemy. It makes the divine the devil and the devil divine. So when I was talking to my daughter, I said, where is the part of you that's living this life? And she says, it's this. And immediately came forward. And this authority, this presence, this kind of remembrance that she chose all this. This recognition that she created this is like the challenge was to create order in the chaos of her life, to be in control, to gain mastery of her money, her finances, her relationship, her ability to function, her ability to assure her own existence. And I said, cool. Look at that mastery. Look at that power. Now, what does that want to do? It wants to kill. It wants to break out of the box. It wants to destroy. It wants to be in the gritty truth. It wants to know it's real. It wants to face the challenge. It wants to be there in the front lines. It was so cool. She comes, it's part of her. She's really a tough nut. She comes across so pleasant and so intelligent. But boy, you cross her, run. She's a force of nature. So she got in touch with herself as the force of nature. And she says, okay, I got it. I know that there's a bigger world than I'm living in. That's what I want to live. And I just presented to her some options. Like, you don't need to live in that house. You can go have your husband take care of the house and the dogs, and you go out and you do something. Or perhaps you become an emergency room surgeon, right? Or perhaps you become a consultant in international development. Go to a tribe in Africa and teach them how to purify their own water. Or do something that puts you on the edge. And she says, I've already put in an application for this job and that job. And I said, okay, there it is. That's bringing you into the next phase of your life. You have mastery now. You have personal mastery. There's no doubt about it. And this part of you that has come to that can do anything. It's the divine itself. It doesn't need to have a fear-based strategy for the future. It doesn't need to have other than just simply to throw out the seeds and then reap the harvest. Discover what may happen. In the process of reaching out to life and say, show me what is the next possibility for me to step into. And don't let your past determine your future. Have faith in that quality of the strength of that soul being you are. And watch how the universe will dance for you. Sharon here is smiling. Because I told her, step out of this little box you live in. Don't let money be the definer and your fear of the lack of it or not sufficient of it. And start taking actions based on your vision, on the possibility, and just watch. Let the universe show how much you can have faith in life. Let life come forward and bring what it is that's needed. It will want to, because you're the supreme being who's taking this risk. You're the supreme being that's taking an action not based on fear or the strategy of control or keeping yourself safe. Then you can discover in your own experience the true validation of what you are. Not the validation that you seek from others to tell you you're okay and you're nice and I like you and you like me and we're great together, and it just becomes another conspiracy to stay as we are. But rather, this freedom, this authority, this completeness that comes when you discover your capacity to be in existence as, which we now know, the Supreme Being. Each human beings, every self-aware being, has the potential to take an action not based on the strategy of fear and control, or desire and craving, which are just all fear-based adaptations as well, but to bring something into existence that you've not at least experienced before. Now, in the human life, this is one arena. When we awaken spiritually, the rules change. Because the nature of what we awaken to, even if we don't know what it is we've awakened to, we may know what we woke from, that fear-based contracted structure of separative self, but we may not know what we awoke to. What we awake to is that eternal potentiality that we all carry. And it has the capacity to choose and to act in ways that are not based on the past, not based on what you've known before. So, in the spiritual path, the more we move into relationship to what we've awoken to, the more that we've awakened from comes into existence. The structures that kept the lid on our unexperienced experience no longer hold the fear, no longer hold the compensating structures, no longer hold, and so all the unexpressed content starts coming up, right? After the SFC, the laundry. It's not just that. Once you wake up, then the first thing that has to happen is we have to meet that in the person that we woke up out of. That prevents the person from integrating what you've woken to. And the person includes this entire vehicle, the body, the emotions, the belief systems, the point of view, and the consequences of choices that were based on ignorance, so based on fear, based on separation, based on need and control. All this comes bubbling up to be released in this space of what you've become when you awaken spiritually. And so our journey, when we awaken, is to start meeting the unawakened parts so they too can wake up. And in that process, we recover the essential reality of what we are. And it doesn't mean we have to take on a job in a Nairobi desert with a small tribe, miserable tribe that's under siege. We can actually do it in our meditation. We can actually do it in our inner self-examination. To recognize that everything that's coming up is our shit. To own it. To recognize this is what made the world shitty. Is the stuff that I have been swallowing, making real, suppressing. And as you release this natural faith in life starts coming. This natural ability to let go of the habitual patterns of fear-making that we have made our ego's full-time project. Everything we think, everything we feel, everything we do has been to feed this fear structure, trying to control existence so that it will not overtake us, to avoid the chaos and to seek the order. So as we awaken, we become more comfortable in the uncertainty. Something in us relaxes into the not knowing. The stress of our separative thinking and doing starts falling away. And we come into being in the becoming, capable of creating a new reality, not only for ourselves, but all who we are connected to through the habit of our birth and our development as we've grown as human beings. It's cool shit, right? It's good. I just take it one little conversation, it becomes this whole big cosmology. I don't do this. It's the quality of the original nature, is its immediacy, its spontaneity. It doesn't need any preconditions. It creates its own conditions. It brings into existence itself, spontaneously and automatically and joyously, because that's its nature. That's its Dharma. And that's the Dharma for each one of us. So I'm just a demonstration of what your own possibility is. What it is actually that you are, and what is your predicament and your problem. Is when you forget that you're every day trying vigorously to keep in place the very thing that causes you diminishment and suffering. You have to recognize, find, discover, and unplug those structures in you that have you wired up in that particular avoidance strategy. And then when that energy comes to you, it will only create. It will originate itself into existence automatically and spontaneously, because that's what it wants to do. That's what this Satchitananda, the force of existence, wants to do. It's to come into existence, to wake up, to know itself, and to manifest that quality of being. So this is, as spiritual beings, this is our work. This is our Dharma. My daughter isn't there yet. She still has to battle out in the gritty battlefield of human life, human consequences, human misery and suffering and limitations. But I can tell you something, she's up for it. And she's got a good coach. And that's what I am for all of you. I'm your regular or periodic kick in the butt. To remind you of what it is you are, right? But as soon as I leave the room, you all go back to sleep. You got to stop doing this. It's just making it more work for me. Okay. And if you'll notice, what's also here? What's also here? Right? What is this? Right? You know I love you. You know I love you when I call you on your shit. You know I love you when I make it hard. When I'm chaotic, unpredictable. When I insult your current structure, your current idea of yourself, or what your position or your point of view may be, or your morality or your ethics. It's my job is to be the insult to your ego. And you could say it's a thankless task, right? By its design, right? They put better people than me on the cross for this shit, right? But it's where true love comes into existence. It's where life comes into existence. And that is what's real. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Well, that was fun. So we have a little time. Maybe we'll take some sharings or questions or Okay.
Oh, you wait until he gets the mic.
You have to wait for Mike, Jason. Mike's coming. You know, why don't you step up here over to one side so the camera can get you?
Can we do this?
Yeah, sure.
Okay.
Jason,
Over
just-
here?
Yeah, just right over there.
Yeah.
So the camera can get you. Yeah, isn't that cool? Yeah, look who's here with you.
Well, Coach Belichick. I have been in this experience of what if everything that is happening has nothing to do with me? And I am a vehicle for the processing of content. And none of it is personal.
Very good.
And I am experiencing an energetic opening that you spoke to perfectly tonight. I feel like I am coming out into something that is new and unknown and not of the past and not even of my own design. Something is making itself known as a possibility.
Fresh, real, new.
Unknown on the edge,
Unknown,
you
yeah,
know,
got it.
unpredictable.
Very good.
So,
That's it.
yeah.
That is the thing itself. Whatever, we may have any kind of story or interpretation what that is, but that's what we're talking about. Coming into existence out of our smallness into our vastness, out of our powerlessness into our power, out of our selfish, narrow, miserable separateness into this inclusive oneness. So, well, welcome, Jason.
Yeah.
You're in the right neighborhood.
That's where I am.
Thank you.
Jason, what you hand? We'll just keep it up here, and whoever comes next,
Okay.
we'll hand them this.
All right. You're going to be on the camera. You have everything to be afraid of. People will see you. Who knows what you'll say? Perhaps you're not feeling right for doing this. I assure you, this is self-sacrifice. This is you put yourself up for the slaughter. You know, you have what? How many people listening right now? 70 plus 30, 100 people. So get naked. All right, Ramananda, willing. Yeah, willing for the sacrifice. Yeah.
So when you were talking tonight, for the last week, I've been paying attention to my arms. In the small group, I just said, I was telling her, you know, I start clenching. And she said, well, just talk to your arms. So I've been talking to my arms for the last week. And tonight I noticed the fear and a lot of other stuff, but the connection between here and my arms and the whole need to be seen. And I'm just focusing on that. And I'm here.
So are your arms talking back yet?
Oh yeah, I mean I'm releasing
Okay.
releasing
The energy
releasing.
and the habit and the tension and the
Yes.
contraction, the habit of the contraction.
Yes, yes.
Perfect.
Yes.
Perfect. All right. This is also going to unwind the contraction in your gut. It's also, and that's great. You can, once you discover how to first find the contraction and then relax it. To move into how do you relax a contraction is it's contracted because it thinks it's all alone. It's separate. That has powerless. So when you pay attention to that part of you that's contracted, it's not alone. It's not powerless. It actually comes into existence with your attention. And so the relaxation comes in. With the relaxation comes this the freedom of the locked up energy required to stay contracted. And you become more present, more being, more relaxed. And all that it brings, the greater alertness, and greater harmony and sense of order that's not apparent. That ordering of the quality of the purpose of existence, if the true ordering is the purpose of existence. And when we relax out of our clench, we recognize that existence has a purpose. When we can relax into that purpose, we can then ride the wave of the purpose. We can discover some skillfulness in how to trust the flow, to trust the movement of life, and to recognize that all life is trying to do is show each of us what separates us from our divine nature. So, a good start.
Thank you, sir.
All right, very good.
Killing me softly
Killing
with
me
your
softly.
song.
Yeah. Yeah. I don't know if it's soft, but all right, Sharon.
I feel in a way that this is the first day of the rest of my life.
Okay, I did my job.
You did your job. I heard the conversation about coming into existence for the first time about a year ago in Reno. And there had just been a fire. I almost didn't make it over the hill because of the smoke and all that I heard was happening here, but I did. And Satya was talking about going out in from his house and seeing the fire and the immediacy. And it struck me so deeply because it rang a bell that I had been hiding, hiding big time and not living in life immediate. And Shree was seeing me smile. I've been in radio for about 12 years and have been looking at doing a big radio show for 2 years. And just yesterday gave the okay that I'm doing it with knowing that I still owed a lot of money for it. And then yesterday, another gift came, and I went to write a thank you note, a donation for it last night, and I couldn't send it because I knew it was just a thank you from my awareness. It wasn't in my body. And so I went to bed. I went into meditation for a couple of hours and just felt this coming into the body in a greater way. It was wonderful. I went to bed about 12:30, and then this morning got up again and just trying to accept, and I'm seeing that this is going to be an opportunity for me to really take into my heart, my soul, my body, abundance in a greater way. And today has been a miracle last night, I'll just say one thing. We've been studying the Mother book, and what came to me this morning is that it's not me doing it. I ask when needed be for the Mother, and I receive and accept as the Mother. So it's not me doing the work. Today has been a miracle. I gave up fear yesterday.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's cool.
It sure makes life a little different.
Yes, it does.
Walking into it immediacy, met with somebody this morning. Well, you know that her, Susan.
No.
And what she shared and what I shared, she's really good for the first radio show, I think. Had another meeting this afternoon, and that looks like it's just everything is flowing, and I could not plan it like this. So immediacy, yes, being in the immediacy without the fear, just a miracle. Thank you for...
It is. That's
Yes.
what it is. The
Yes.
miracle is always that's beyond our sense of what's possible,
Yes.
right? So it is beyond our ability to understand or connect the dots or fit into the linearity of life. And I do this and this happens and then I do that and that happens. This is the immediacy. And with the miracle is what you're seeing demonstrated right now here with Sharon is this huge gratitude,
So much, so much.
unspeakable, full.
Thank you for telling me no a few times, for telling me yes a few times.
I told her to start asking for money. And she said, no, 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 no. I cannot accept money. I don't know how to do that. I don't know how to accept money. I can give it away, but I can't accept it. So it was really this learning to receive, not just give.
Yes.
And that's where she is now. There's still a bit left for any of you who may hear this. So, so if you feel inspired to support her in the manifestation of her miracle, then you can send something to New Dharma for Sharon.
It's just, I hope that someday it's going to be another situation. Who's R.K. Rowling?
Oh, yes.
You know her?
J.K. Rowling.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right. I have hidden for so long. It's just, I have $50 to my name today.
Cool.
$50.
Congratulations.
Thank you. And tomorrow, Monday, I have my oil change for $60. So I'm going to ask the check to be maybe hold alpha. So it's like, but I know there is a new opportunity.
Okay.
I know there is a new day beginning, and there really isn't a fear.
I
So
know. I can see it. It's
yes,
clear.
yes.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Perfect.
Thank you. Thank you.
That's the master of abundance. The mastery of abundance comes from our being, not from our content. It's a quality of being able to come into existence without fear. Looking, where is the next $10 going to come from, right? How cool. How cool. It's like waiting for the miracle to show itself. You know? She'd be lucky if she gets out of this room and not have it show up. Okay. But you have to accept whatever comes. So giving and receiving. Okay. So there's a beautiful demonstration. Thank you. And I think I think you got it, right? You got it. You got it. You got it. Living without fear. That's the lesson. That's the opportunity. Coming out of the habit. Okay, so we're going to finish with a meditation. Should leave a little light on. Maybe in the kitchen. Mm-hmm. Yeah. So we'll sit silent and still for 15 minutes wherever you are. Just relax. Be silent and still. Be aware of yourself sitting in your seat. There's no practice here. Get into just being present with what's there. Attend to your breath. If you need an entry point, attend to the energy in your body. You might want to pick a particular area, look at your hands or your bottom of your feet or your shoulders just to get an entry point. And then just take in what you get.